In the legal world, there is a combination of forces that feed a corrupt and suffocating legal system for attorneys. Law schools, law professionals, judges, and even the firms themselves for whom you work create a system, a matrix, if you will, that is nothing like what you thought when you passed the bar exam. The purpose of this podcast is to help you escape this legal matrix, leading you out of the proverbial desert to be free of the bondage of the matrix. Hosted by Bryce D. Nyer, attorney at law with over 30 years experience in the trenches of civil and criminal litigation at the state, federal, and international levels. He's a highly accomplished and resourceful legal professional, a true master of his craft, and he's here to help you get your life back. Here's your host, Bryce D. Nyer.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody rocking and rolling today, this evening, whatever time zone you're in? This is Bryce D. Nyer coming at you from Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of Fort Bragg. Now called Fort Liberty, but I will never call it that. So we're here for another episode of Escape the Legal Matrix. Basically, an attorney's exodus from the living hell that the legal matrix can cause in the legal profession. So what are we going to talk about today, tonight, morning, whatever, again, time zone you're in? We're going to talk about pits and sedations. Pits and sedations. Write that down. Pits and sedations. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to tell you what it means. So a few years ago when I joined the organization called Wake Up Warrior, which was founded by Garrett J. White, he's also the CEO, he had basically developed this science, and it's not rocket science, but absolutely living in truth and why men were basically screwing up and destroying their lives. And in his book, Be the Man, he talks about essentially pits and sedations. And if you don't know who Garrett J. White is and Wake Up Warrior, you really need to Google it and take a good look. I also want to throw a big thanks out there to Bryce Prescott, who is a linchpin of the success of these podcasts in producing these and working with me. One of the top comedians and podcasting consultants there is in this country, if not the world today. So just want to give a big shout out there, Bryce Prescott. Thank you so much for everything you do for me and working with me, and not only being my leader and mentor in this area, but just a hell of a great guy and a great friend. So let's talk about these pits and sedations. So what happens in a person's life, again, whether you're a man or a woman, is there are going to be times when things are going really, really great for you. I mean, just super well, where you're just on fire and everything, and all your domains of body being balanced, business, and the fifth domain called fulfillment. And you think that, hey, life's great, or you say life's good, but life could be better, life could be great instead of just good. And so you go from this thing that you go, from pit to peak, you're down in the slump, you're digging out. But pits can arise, and they do arise, and tsunamis come into your life. And when the tsunamis come into your life, they approach you head on, and they take no prisoners, and they have no mercy, and they give no quarter. And pits can be many things. The most common things you see in the legal profession, especially after you get out of law school and you've been in active practice for a number of years, is a lot of lawyers. They drink a lot, they do illegal drugs, or they get hooked on prescription drugs, they get into depression, or they get into porn, or they get into some other activity that distracts them from what their mission is. Now, you may think that you're a strong person and no, this is never going to happen. I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to drink alcohol to excess. I'm not going to sit there and watch porn, during the day instead of doing my work. I'm not going to have affairs. I'm not going to do this. And I'm here to tell you, it happens. Things happen. You may not do all of that laundry list of pits or sedations where you just sleep all day and you just surf the net and avoid doing your work because you're burned out or whatever it is. But I'm telling you right now, after being in this profession decades, I have yet to see one lawyer does not suffer from some pit. They go from the pit to peak, pit to peak, pit to peak. But I don't care if you're the most moral person, staunchest Christian, or whatever your faith is. I'm telling you, you're going to go off the beaten path. And when you go off that beaten path and you get distracted and you start to drift away from what your sole purpose is or what your mission is, you become essentially the walking dead. And your life begins to go into the spiral, into this tumble. And if you're not careful, you could really train wreck your entire life. And it happens all the time. I mean, the legal profession is in like the top 10 or 10, 15 of suicide rates, depending upon which study you look at. And that's not good. I mean, there's no profession. Look, suicide's just a horrible thing, okay? When people get to that point, that's just sad. It's absolutely tragic to be so alone and so despondent to where you take your own life. It's an absolute horrible, horrible, horrible thing. But if you're not careful in this game, and life is a game, it is, and in the legal matrix will suck you into this abyss of insanity and pit and pull you down to a really, really dark place to where you feel, well, dark and void and gray and no focus and no clarity. And so those warning lights need to be embedded in your heart, and they need to be embedded in your brain. And you need to do it now. You need to determine and you need to define who you are and what you are, and who you will be and what you will be, and you have to live what you are. Now, I've learned this the hard way in my life. You know, you can go along thinking, well, I'm a good person, and maybe you are. But being a good person does not prevent life's problems and pits from attacking you. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And what I have observed during my tenure of being in the legal profession, in the legal matrix, and fighting my way out of it, is it has happened to every single lawyer and law student I know. Not so much with the law students, okay, because you're still new to the game. But you can see the underpinnings for you law students, especially in the alcohol game. Because a lot of folks coming right out of undergraduate school still have not yet made the transition out of the fraternity or sorority house. If you're coming right out of undergrad at 22 years old. And you're still in that party mode, and you still think drinking. And a lot of law students get so stressed out, they hit the bottle. They do. And after a few years of pounding the pavement for the senior partners and the constant collisions with opposing lawyers, with your clients, you know, some of your friendly colleagues, the judges, your family, the staff. I mean, you just feel like your head is going to explode. And if you don't get away from it all, you're just going to go out of your mind. Really, you will get to that feeling, and that's a dangerous place to be. And it doesn't take long to do it. There are some folks that have worked for high-powered firms, that in a year or a year or two, they have completely burned out. I mean burned out to where they can't even function. And it's really sad. It's really sad. And you have to be careful that you don't fall into this pit, because it really takes time to get out of it. It's not something that is simple to do once you're there. And again, I have been there. I have been there during this process. There have been times when I'm like, man, I just want to get in my truck, take my dog, and drive to the west coast of the Pacific Ocean and just beat a tambourine and listen to some music and take my phone and throw it in the Pacific Ocean and let it sink to the bottom and just not talk to anybody. And I do. I mean, I've thought about it. I mean, there are a lot of lawyers I know that hate their life. They hate what they do, but they don't know how to get out of it. They've strapped themselves into a lifestyle. They've strapped themselves into debt. They purchase all this crap they don't need, a beach house, a new BMW, some shiny thing, some toy, and they get stuck and trapped in the pits and sedation, and it becomes this vicious cycle of, I'm okay one day, I'm good. Now, you're not really good. I'm good. No, you're not good. You're not. Your life's a mess in all of the domains. And, once that happens in your body, you don't work out, you start eating crap food, you start boozing it up, and you start making excuses like, I'm not going to get up right away, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that. And then it spirals, and it's not hard to do. I mean, there have been times in my life, in my little career, I'm like, man, I just, I got to get up, I just got to get the hell out of here. I feel like I'm drowning, I feel like I'm suffocating, and I just had to get away. I just couldn't take another phone call. I couldn't take care of another problem. I didn't want my family to call. I just wanted everybody to leave me the hell alone. Just leave me the hell alone. Didn't care who it was. Did not care. And you'll get to that point in the legal matrix if you're not careful. And if you get to that point and you don't shift, if you don't transform, if you don't get focus and clarity of how to get out of it, you will destroy every relationship that you have. You will destroy your body. You will destroy your relationship with God. You will destroy it all until you ultimately destroy yourself. Until you're just laying in the gutter, spitting up on yourself, talking in tongues or spinning your head or whatever it is, or beating a tambourine at the airport. Maybe beating a tambourine at the airport. Maybe the Hare Krishna had a good idea there. They seem to be pretty chill. I only saw them a few times in my life, but they're pretty chill and look pretty happy. But on a serious note, the legal profession eats its own. You've got to remember, nobody's coming to save you. Law firms across the world are all about what? About making money. Mr. Green showing up, the American excuse card, Mr. Visa, Mr. Discover, okay? It's all about the cash. That's what it is. Remember, you're a mercenary. That's what you are. You're a legal merc. And darkness can come with that if you have no sole purpose. And some people that go to law school, again, they still don't know why they're going. They're just going, I want to make tons of money, blah, 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 blah. And they feed themselves full of this just lies and untruths, okay? And they stumble through life, and they never really live. They've been dead from the get-go. And if you're not careful, these pits will become so overwhelming, so enormous. They will just be Goliaths all around you. And you won't know how to be the David with the rock and the sling and how to slay them in order to be free and ultimately head to the promised land. And what's the promised land? The promised land is freedom. Remember, ultimately, as a legal warrior in escaping the legal matrix, what is it you want to do? You want to own, operate, and lead your own firm. You want to eat what you kill. You don't want to slave away for somebody else making the bucks while they throw you the table scraps. But if you entrap yourself in the legal matrix and you have these heavy stones on your chest or these chains of bondage called pits and sedations, you will never be free. You will never own, operate, and lead your own firm. And there was a time, a long time ago, I felt like, man, I feel like I'm trapped. I feel like I'm in a prison. I'm working for somebody else. Okay, I'm on salary, blah, blah, blah. Where am I going? And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. And I'd go to bed at night and I'd be like, man, where am I going? I'm going to get up tomorrow and do the same thing. It was just wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat. I was like, I was going out of my mind until one day I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I have to run my own show. I have to hire my own staff. I have to determine who my clients are, what areas of law, what my value is, what I'm going to charge. And once I started exercising that freedom and breaking free of the legal matrix, at least at that level and at that point, I cannot tell you the freedom I felt. When I first opened my own firm, when I went for working for somebody else, and I bought my first cell phone, and I had signed the lease, I bought my own equipment, and it was during that time, it was just before Thanksgiving, and my family was coming up from Florida, and I cannot tell you Oh God, the fulfillment and the great feeling how I'm like, I own my own firm. I am my own boss. I could never be unemployed. I might be underemployed, but as long as I have one client, I am employed. And as the years progress forward, remember the legal matrix is out there. I mean, just because you own, operate, and lead your own firm doesn't mean you're free. It means the legal matrix is coming after you even more because there's more to take from you. There's more money to take, more time to take, more resources to take, more passion to try and steal or kill. And the matrix does that if you let it. And this is the whole point I'm trying to make in talking to you about escaping from the legal matrix. Because if you go back and you research and you read about the legal profession and all of the problems that lawyers have had over the decades, it's because of pits and sedation, which is what? Which is proximately caused by the legal matrix. And in a sense, you become your own lawsuit of negligence. You are negligent. Remember the elements when you were studying, in your civil procedure class or maybe some class you took about liability and civil, like personal injury, and like, hey, what does that mean? Well, somebody caused an injury. They were the proximate cause. It was foreseeable and somebody suffered damages. Well, listen, right now, I'm telling you, and you're on alert that it is foreseeable that if you allow yourself to become part of the legal matrix and you don't take the steps necessary to break free, you are negligent. Negligent. And in some states, if you cause your own damages, it's called contributory negligence, you can't recover against the defendant. Then there are states that are comparative negligence. They compare your negligence to the negligence of the defendant. But if you don't take care of yourself and body, being, balance, business, and fulfillment, you are negligent. And I learned that the hard way. Because I used to go along thinking, I'm good, and I was not good. I was not. Because you're on the inside looking out versus somebody being on the outside looking in and able to see things that you can't see, to hear things that you say that you can no longer hear because you've grown immune to it. Why? Because you've allowed the pits and the sedations to basically cloud your judgment. You don't have clarity, you don't have focus, you don't have a path to possibilities of ever having the passions that fuel the fulfillment. Because remember, we've talked about this, about fulfillment, passions, okay? This fifth domain. So you're going to go through life, you're going to go from pits to peaks, highs to lows, 0 to 60, or 60 to 0. But if you get entrapped in alcoholism, in illegal drugs, in addictions, in porn, in affairs, or other illicit activities, you are going to destroy your life. And I will tell you again, I don't know what your religious beliefs are, but I will tell you this. In Scripture, in the Bible, again, I don't know your faith. The wage of sin is death. And really, what does it profit a man or a woman to gain the whole world but lose his or her soul? Think about that. Think about, if your target is I just want to make $1 gazillion and I don't care how I do it and blah, 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 and you start compromising everything you are and everything you can be. And then one day till the house of cards falls and the bottom falls out, and man, you've gone from what you thought was peak to absolute pit, and your life is a living hell, and you have become what? The walking dead. The walking dead. And again, it doesn't get better with time. There's a saying that my battalion commander told me when I was on active duty, when I was a young lieutenant or a young captain. He said, bad news does not get better with time. Bad news does not get better with time. And as a lawyer, when you're allowing these pits and sedations to overcome you, they are your adversary. And if you do something stupid, and it's a big secret, eventually all of our secrets catch up to you. All my secrets have caught up to me many times. Especially when you don't live and operate in truth. Your lies all catch up to you. And if somebody doesn't know, at least you know, God knows. And eventually, something's going to happen. And that bad news that you've created, it just festers. It grows like a cancer. So what do you do? What do you do? Well, you've got these 5 domains. I mean, and we've talked about, and we'll always talk about, in your body, you got to work out, you got to eat right, you got to lay off the booze, you got to lay off anything that's addictive. In balance, you've got to make time for yourself. You've got to work on your relationships. If your marriage is totally shitty, then you need to get out of it. If it can't be fixed, you've got to get out of it. You can't stay in a toxic marriage or relationship. I did. It was horrible. It was horrible. Oh, my God. I wanted to cut my wrist with a pencil eraser, okay? You can't stay in any toxic, even a law partnership. I was in a law partnership for 10 years, so I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to get out. I had to. I was suffocating. And so I dissolved it. I had to get away from the insanity. I had to. And being your relationship, I'm telling you, if you do things that are wrong, it's going to eat you alive. It's going to haunt you. You're going to lose sleep at night. You will. You'll go crazy. And in business, if all these other domains are out of whack, what, you think you're going to go in and you're going to be able to focus on doing the work, getting work done, and getting the missions done and closing deals and clients? No, you're going to hate everything. You're going to hate stuff. You're going to hate everybody. I got to that point. I hated the world. I hated everybody. Even hated myself. I did. It's a horrible place to be. It really is. And I'm a fun guy, and I got a great sense of humor. But, that's only going to take you so far. It's only going to take you so far. And what you have to do is you have to tackle the pits and the sedations head on. And sometimes you're going to backslide. You're going to backtrack. You're going to fall into some bad habits again, and you got to keep fighting. It's a daily fight. It's a lifetime fight. Remember, living is a life sentence. It is. I bet nobody's ever told you that, but living is a life sentence. Living is a life sentence. Remember that until the day you die. So you have to tackle all the adversaries and the demons in life. And there are many demons, and there are many pits, and there are many sedations. They're enticing. It's like, I like Mountain Dew. I'm not supposed to have Mountain Dew. Why? It's just so high in sugar. It's not good for you. It's not, but I love it. But I don't drink it all the time. Once in a while, I reward myself. And it's a great company. And it tastes really good, but for for fitness, it's all high contents of sugar are not good. Rewarding yourself once in a while is okay. It's kind of like alcohol. Okay, a nice import beer is good once in a while, but you start pounding like 8 or 10 of those a day. 1, you're gonna get fat. 2, your liver's gonna fail. 3, you're gonna feel like crap, and you're gonna be in a constant fog. So these pits and sedations, they're real. They're not imaginary. The legal matrix is made up of horrible, horrible things. It is, man. It's like this dark cloud that covers the world. And you have to be a legal warrior. You have to fight the legal matrix. It's out there to consume people. People think it's a theory, that it's fake, and it's not. I'm going to tell you something. The first time you screw up a case because you let your pits and sedations get to you and you get sued for malpractice, it's going to suck. The first time you go through child custody, child support, and alimony because you did something really stupid, even, with some sort of pit or addiction, or you did something and now you're paying all this crap and your life's just turned to a world of whale shit, okay? You're going to hate yourself. And the legal matrix doesn't care. Remember when you applied to law school, how many thousands of people were applying for the same seat you were? Especially in major prominent, Ivy League law schools, those swanky ones, or whatever. People didn't care about you. They didn't care whether you did well on the LSAT or not. And when you get to law school, nobody cares about you. Everybody's just fighting to stay there and be top of the class and be law review and blah, 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 whatever. And then when you take the bar exam, nobody wants to talk to you. Nobody wants to talk to anybody. When you're studying for the bar, nobody cares. All they care about is like, just leave me alone. Let me study. Please, dear God, let me pass the bar exam the first time so I don't have to redo this insanity again. Once that's done, now you're really in the competition. Now you're competing against thousands of people. Not just your recent graduates, but other people looking for new jobs or to shift or whatever they're doing or to move. And with that pressure, with that intense pressure where nobody really cares about you, and they don't, you can fall into pits and sedations. See, again, the legal matrix doesn't care. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have a soul. It's a dark, dark entity. Okay? You have to remember this. The legal matrix is real. It's not something I'm making up here. I mean, every time you go online, start Googling about lawyers and how they feel about being a lawyer and being in the legal profession. And I'm telling you, the majority of them hate it. They'll lie to your face and tell you they don't because they're ashamed and embarrassed to say it. But when nobody's around, they're sitting there with their head in their hands. They're drinking a beer or a scotch or some other addiction. Or again, like I said, they're watching porn or whatever the hell they're doing. They're in some deep pit and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to get out. And I'm going to tell you something. These programs are run by the state bar and the bar association, like, we care about you. We've got these addiction programs. That crap does not work. I don't think it works because they're the ones that create this problem in the first place. They're part of the legal matrix. You have got to have the ability to take a deep look in the mirror at yourself and take an accountability of who and what you are. And you have to stand up and dust off. And yes, you're going to need some help. You may need some help with money and finances. You can't always live your life totally alone. But when I say nobody's coming to save you, what that means is you have to be willing, just like I was, you have to be willing to make the commitment to fix your life, to fix these 5 domains. Because other people can't fix it for you. They can't. They can't work out for you. They can't take the bar exam for you. They can't do the job interview for you. They can't do it. You have to do it. And when you're getting yourself out of a pit, there are certain things you can read. There are certain things you can do, but you have to read them and then you have to take action and you have to do it and you have to be bold. I used to think like, where's the cavalry coming to save me? Tomorrow it'll happen. Tomorrow somebody will save me. Tomorrow, no, tomorrow never came. It never arrived. Till one day when I was just sitting there and just sobbing and crying. It was like, and it was just a horrible time. And it was a time when I had to take somebody off life support. And I was just like, what the hell is going on in my life? And I felt like I was in this pit and I was like, God, how am I going to get out? I belong to these organizations. We talk about power and rising and having a kingdom, being a king of my own kingdom. And, these domains. And finally I looked around and I was alone. I was alone. There were no other people in the room. Nobody was there to save me. And I said, you know what? I got to stand up. I got to dust off. I got to fight the legal matrix. I have to fight the pits. I have to fight the sedations. I've got to get clarity. I've got to get focus. I got to get back on the horse and I got to start riding again into battle, into war. You are going to war every day with the legal matrix. And you can win the war if you prepare and you train and you be ruthlessly committed to who? To you. To you. You have to put yourself first. That's not being selfish. That's being smart. Be smart about it. Nobody ever won a war being stupid. They won a war because they were strategic and they were ruthlessly committed to the outcome. Strategy is key, but you have to be an army yourself. You have to be the leader of you. And see, many times in my life, as much as I thought I was a leader, it was just a thought. I wasn't really leading. I was lying to myself. I was kidding. And the pits and sedations were piling on one on top of the other. Till you're like, man, I'm drowning. I'm just drowning. I'm suffocating. So you law students, you young lawyers, you have this path of possibilities to be not just good, but to be absolutely fantastic and absolutely great. Don't just be a good lawyer, be a great lawyer. Don't be just a good person, be a great person. Be great at everything you do. even in my life, I am shifting and transforming, and it's taken me years to learn this, to learn these skill sets, to finally wake up and listen and take a deep look and audit myself and what are the pits and what are the sedations and what do I need to do to gear up, to arm up, to stand up and to go fight. Because it's a dogfight. So as we wrap up tonight, I want you to think about what are the pits and the sedations in your life, and what are the actions that you must take to destroy the pits and to destroy the sedations. And again, this isn't going to get solved in one conversation here with me. This is why you need to hire me. I've been there. I understand the matrix. I know how to fight it. You're not going to be alone when you work with me. You're not. You got a veteran here. And that's key. Experience is key. Knowledge is critical, but experience is key. And that key opens the door to what? To freedom. From who? From the legal matrix. Okay. I want you to seriously, that's your homework. Think about it. Just chill out, meditate, think about it. What are your pits? What are your sedations? Write them down. Really, write them down. Don't just sit there and, I'll do it. No, do it. If you don't take action, you're going to be the walking dead forever. I had to take action. And if I'm taking action, I'm not telling you to do something I'm not doing myself. And it's difficult. It's a dogfight. Remember, it's a dogfight. Okay? It is. Get in the game. Fight the legal matrix. Okay, folks, that we're about to wrap it up here. Again, this is Bryce D. Nyer coming at you from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Home of Fort Bragg, now called Fort Liberty. But again, I'm never going to call it that. And so we're going to be coming at you again with another episode. But you know your homework. What are the pits? What are the sedations? Come on, write it down. Think about it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do to fight? Saddle up, arm up, get up, dust off. You know what you need to do. Don't you just sit there and sedate and let those pits run your life, okay? Come on. Start it now. Get up. As soon as we get done with this call, you know what you got to do. Okay, Bryce D. Nyer is out of here.